All right, looks like we are ready to bring it back over to Allison. So Allison, who's our next Toy Box artist?
All right, JB, we've got Steve and Tanner here, and they're a father and son team, which is really cool to see. They're also winners of the Movie Magic Video Contest, so they created this really neat video called Dash into Infinity and won their spot here at this summit, which is really neat. If you go on our YouTube channel, you can watch it. So guys, let's see what you guys created today.
All right, well, first off, before we load up the level, I just want to do a little bit of backstory.
Okay.
Now, I produce documentary films, so I consider myself a storyteller. And so one of the things we wanted to try to do with the Toy Box is not use it just for combat games, but to really try to tell a story and to really engage the audience through different visuals and through different story elements. So Tanner, why don't you go ahead and start the game up. The reason that I'm having him delay a little bit is so that we can show you how we use the text tools to really help people understand what the story is. Now, we're probably going to be considered Disney's ultimate bad guys here in just a few minutes because of what we're proposing here. But consider this as a story. In the year 2020, Disneyland adds a whole bunch of new stuff to their park. They add a whole new Tomorrowland, and they add Marvel Land as well to their Disney park. Now, unfortunately, it's in 6 months from that date, the big one hits the Southern California area. It drops into the ocean, everything's flooded underwater. So to boost morale, they send the Avengers in to do some recon, see what's left, and try to figure out exactly what is going on and what has happened here. You might think natural disaster, but maybe not. So we're gonna have some text here that helps us quickly explain that story so people that load up our Toy Box can see exactly what's going on. We push the graphics to the limit, so it takes a minute to load, but it's just about there, at least based on our testing.
So how do you guys work together? It's been one of the most interesting things about the summit is seeing families, husband and wife, father, son, working together.
I will let Tanner actually explain the different roles that we
Okay.
had.
Okay.
Turn around.
My dad has always been a really big fan of Disney, so he's pretty much memorized the entire layouts of the parks.
Oh, I don't want to miss the text though.
So yeah, in the year 2020, the Disneyland
yeah.
Resort opens its new Marvel Land. After only 6 months of operation, the big earthquake hits, sending Southern California to the bottom of the ocean. In an effort to boost morale, the Avengers were sent in to explore the ruins and search for answers as to why this happens.
Oh,
Costume change. On the plus side, they settled in a very beautiful area of the ocean.
So Tanner, would you like to explain the rules and kind of how we put this together?
So yeah, my dad has memorized the layout of Disneyland pretty much. So when I was thinking through ideas of things that we could both work together really well on, I knew that he had this layout really well in his head, and me and him can work together really well to get details and stuff laid out. So I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of try to make the park and then add our own Marvel Land onto it.
So Tanner, why don't you go ahead and take us down Main Street. Now, one of the things you're noticing, that there's not a bunch of people coming out to shoot guns at us. We're underwater, the guns don't work. So at this point in time, what we're going for is more of an exploration game. Let people look around, explore that environment, look for clues, and just kind of enjoy the beauty of it that can only come from something like Disney Infinity. So, Tanner, why don't you go down and head to the hub? We'll show you some things on Main Street here in a minute. One of the things that we wanted to do is actually have the rubble as a searchable ground. So, if you look to the very back here, Tanner, we've actually incorporated maneuverable lands into the rubble. We'll show you in a minute how there are clues built into the game. And that way you can kind of solve puzzles as you go. Now, one of the things that Tanner thought up is kind of a trip through the castle, which again is submerged, so there's lots of water that we can put in underneath.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, unfortunately, the rubble is built in, so you can't actually get out the back of it unless you have a jetpack like Iron Man does. But we'll just go out the front. Now, one of the things that we'll show you is we've got the tools that we do, but if you go do a quick scroll through Tomorrowland over here, lots of rubble has invaded the parks. As you come through, one of the things we discovered yesterday when we first loaded up the 2.0 edition is Space Mountain, which as Disneyland fans, we just kind of geeked out on. You can actually fly into Space Mountain, interact with the environment, hear the music. If you step on some of the discs, you can almost go around almost like a ride type of fashion. So yeah, as park geeks, we were geeking out at this. So we had to include Space Mountain in our layout.
Ooh.
Okay, so we can pull them out, come out of there. As you get the game, definitely try this one out. All right. Now, as I said, it's the year 2020. Disney did add a Marvel Land to take advantage of the great Marvel characters that we have. So Tanner, why don't you fly into Marvel Land? Now, one of the tricks that we had is keep in mind we're using a really early prototype version of the game here. And one of the things that we struggled with was memory. Some things take up a lot of memory, some things don't. And so yesterday when we laid out the whole park, we put puzzles in each land that people could interact with and play. Unfortunately, that took up too much memory in the video game system we were using, and so it was either the puzzles or the park. So we had to go with the park and pull out the puzzles, unfortunately. But one of the things that we did try to keep in, as Tanner's going to come down here, is we have little clues that we tried to hide throughout the game. For instance, leaders of the California National Guard were notified of the earthquake 1 week prior. Coincidence? Evidence could be found behind the castle, possibly. So what we're trying to do is use these little text boxes to lead people in different places around the game to try to build that puzzle and that intrigue. Tanner and I are both big fans of the show Lost, and so we wanted to try to take some of those elements as people are looking around, solving puzzles, solving clues, a little bit of a different experience from a Disney Infinity game, again, used for storytelling. Now, we did want to show off some of the interiors, so Tanner's going to come up here and find... Are you heading inside?
I want to show this.
Oh, yes. This is really cool for us. Especially because I was playing with Donald. He's my favorite character. And watching Donald drive the Main Street Electrical Parade cart it's a lot of fun. Another one you got to try. And yes, it has the music from the Main Street Electrical Parade built into it.
That's awesome.
All right, so get back to the restaurant.
Oh, nice. Tricky.
I don't think it can do that in real life.
Yeah, unfortunately, that'd be great.
That would be great.
With the Imagineers, anything is possible, I think.
No pressure.
So we decided to use the toy box to build some interiors as well, or at least one interior, just to kind of show off what we could do. Now, keep in mind, Disney Imagineers build things very solid, and they actually were able to build an interior restaurant that did not get flooded. We're not exactly sure how they pulled that off, but granted, there's a lot of damage up there, a lot of things. The bathrooms may not be working as intended. Yes, the broken toilets are an element of the game, and it allows us to kind of just wander around. Again, the whole point of our game was not combat. It was just explore the environment and see what all we could build using the Disney Infinity tools. Now, one of the things that was really hard for us is the fact that, again, we had to carefully manage our memory in the game. But we used the treehouse creator to build Tarzan's treehouse over in Adventureland, and it looked beautiful. And on the skyline, it just came out and did amazing things. But it was either that or Tomorrowland, so we had to cut down the tree and build Tomorrowland. So
Gotcha.
that is what we came up with in the last 18 hours.
Awesome.
Wow.
Wow. Cool.
Very
Great
nice.
job, you guys.
We'll send it back over to you guys. And we'll get
Thanks,
our
Allison.
toy box competitor up here.
All right, amazing work, Steve and Tanner. It touches my heart because it makes me think of how much fun it'd be to play this game with my father, who's not very good at video games, but certainly would appreciate the fact that we could play games together. What do you think, Jeff, in terms of the fact that you had members of your art staff making broken toilets as part of their day-to-day job?
And it works into his storyline. You know?
That's right, it does work.
It might have seemed pointless at the time. Here you go.
That's right.
You know,
This game needs more broken toilets in it.
that actually that's from the Hulk art set. Mm-hmm. And here it's found its way into a storyline that totally makes sense. That it's Disneyland has been submerged under the water, and I don't know. Just it's cool how people are taking their creativity and taking these pieces out of all these different art sets. That it was never our intent to use it that way, but they're just they're finding ways to use it to tell their stories.
Absolutely. What did you
It's
think
cool.
of the storyline, John?
So I thought it's interesting, but I was more amazed by the space.
Yeah.
Honestly, the park itself was huge, and when I look at how long it takes me to create these things, and I realize You know, it's like, yeah, it probably took every bit of the 18 hours, you know, that they
Yeah.
were talking about, just because to get something that's that large with that much thought that's gone into it, that then has interiors and everything else, it's, I'm both amazed when I see how fast you can build some of this stuff, but then I also realize, man, you know, it's, it takes a lot of planning to lay something out like that, to where you need it to, like, a lot of times I build things that are kind of more free-flowing. To have something that's more like an architect needs to lay out Disneyland, that's a pretty big kind of problem, is you have to go lay out the landmarks and stuff correctly.
Now, you and I looked at each other and nudged when they actually did the Space Mountain and the recreation of Space Mountain with, you know, the rails and the invisible rails and that kind of thing. I think that particular moment inside of that presentation, Stephen Tanner's Toy Box, was just great to me. And I'm really excited to see even more attractions and more stories that people come up with inside the 2.0 Toy Box mode.